The company behind the online learning platform, Canvas, says it has struck a deal with hackers more than a week after universities were hit by a cybersecurity breach in Canada, the UK, Australia, and the US. Now, Canadian users included the universities of Toronto, Alberta, and British Columbia. Student names, emails, messages may have been compromised by the breach. In an online post today, the parent company says the data has been returned and that it had also received digital verification the data was destroyed. But they do not say whether the agreement involved a payment to the hackers. My next guest says that the company was caught between a rock and a hard place. Jennifer Quaid is the executive director of the Canadian Anti-Scam Coalition and the Canadian Cyber Threat Exchange, and she joins me now. Jennifer, it's great to have you on the show.
Sarah, thank you so much for having me.
So as a cybersecurity expert, what do you think about a deal being made here?
So, as you said, the company were really, truly between a rock and a hard place. 200 million students were unable to access a platform which is required for them to be able to finish their year. Thousands, I believe it was 9,000 educational institutions were locked out.
Right. So
do I ever want to negotiate? Do I ever want to negotiate with a criminal? No.
Yeah.
No, never. Never. It's never a good idea to reward somebody for doing the wrong thing. And they are criminals. They're cyber attackers, but they're criminals. And by paying them, if that's what happened, and we don't know that that's what happened. If
but
they were paid,
what's a scenario, let me ask you, that wouldn't involve a payment? I mean, what kind of a deal would be struck? It's hard to imagine there couldn't have been money involved.
My imagination does not stretch that far as to what could have been negotiated without payment. The only other scenario that would enable an organization to get access to all of the data and to actually function again is if they had strong, robust backups and they were able to simply roll them out. But my understanding from what I've read in the news is that this was a negotiated agreement. So the inference is that it was a payment.
Right. So if that were the case, money were paid, does this mean that these universities, in particular the three in Canada that I'm talking about, but these are universities around the world, can those students, those institutions, can they now breathe a sigh of relief if they continue to use this Canvas platform?
So those are actually two separate questions. The first, continuing to use Canvas platform, I mean, if it's accessible, then I guess they can continue to use it. The first thing I would be doing as a student is changing my password. In fact, the first thing I would be doing is changing all of my passwords, not just my passwords for Canva, because I don't really know what's happened to the data. And the second part of your question was, can they trust that it's going to work? So you've paid a criminal to return your data. The criminal has said to you, I haven't copied it. This is all there is. And they've shown you images of logs that show that they've deleted any copies they had. You're trusting a criminal. I'm not sure that's the wisest course of action. So that's why I think it's critically important that schools involved focus on informing the students and anyone whose data may have been exfiltrated, informing them on what they should be doing and what they should be looking out for going forward. Because other threats may be coming, and they may not come today or tomorrow. We just don't know.
This was a significant in size and I think, quantity of data, maybe quality of data too, in terms of the hack that we're talking about. We've heard about cyber hacks that have involved hospitals in the past, and I think the public never really gets a full sense as to how things are ultimately resolved. But usually there is a ransom demand of some kind of monetary, like Bitcoin or something to that effect. But then the other thing, the public who may be unaware of things often does hear about white hat hackers, the so-called, good hackers who come in and see injustice. And I mean, is there ever an element where that is something at play?
So, yes, absolutely. There are white hat hackers. We like to think that they work for us. for various organizations and agencies within our own country. There are also just the good guys that come riding in on the shiny horse. If I remember correctly, and this is a memory, Ashley Madison, I think, was partially sold by a white hat hacker who came in and found the code that they needed to restore things. There are white hat hackers and there are good guys, and there are a lot of organizations that work together to help support things like schools that may have been impacted. And that's who we need to look to now. We need to look to the community. And when I say we, I'm talking about all the organizations that were impacted by this attack, and even organizations that weren't. They should all be looking to their caring communities to learn what's coming, what they're seeing, to be able to help separate the noise from what's actually happening out there, and to extend their resource. That's what community is for, and that's what collaboration does in cybersecurity.
And to hopefully figure out if they have similar vulnerabilities. Jennifer Quaid, Executive Director for the Canadian Anti-Scam Coalition and the Canadian Cyber Threat Exchange. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.